I kept thinking we were almost ready, and then something else would come up. Obviously, it was a new year, so the new shoes all needed replacing as everyone's feet got bigger. Buying high-performance hiking shoes for a kid who's going to outgrow them by October is a tough purchase to make. Somehow I lost a backpack in between this season and last season. Yeah, I might have donated it. I really don't know. That thing is just gone. Yeah, the kids all need new layers. And I look at the calendar and realize, I'm trying to schedule around school, my work, everyone else has already planned summer, and all that normal family stuff that doesn't just pause because I have a romantic desire to go hiking on a ridgeline. Taking time to go hiking is essentially, going to war against modern family life. Last season the kids and I hiked 105 miles on the Tahoe Rim Trail. So in my head at the beginning of the season, I thought we're just going to be picking up where we left off. Another season, another section, get back to the Tahoe Rim and start hiking. But getting the family back into the mountains isn't as simple as just wanting to go. Before we even reached the trailhead, I had to figure out, if we were even ready. We're back in Tahoe, trying to get a new season started. Last year, we already put in some miles. This year was supposed to be the finish. Before any of that, I had to get everybody ready. That part took more than I expected. So this year is the plan to hike the Tahoe Rim Trail. We have 3 sections left to go. So last year we already put in a bunch of miles. This year we're supposed to finish. And figuring that we had all the gear to do it last year, I figured this year it would be really easy to just get back out there. I needed to get a new backpack for Town Day. Tailgate ended up inheriting Town Day's backpack, and Town Day ended up using my oldest daughter's, the backpack that she was using, because the oldest daughter hasn't been able to go hiking with us. Shocker. Her schedule is just a little bit too busy, good for her, chasing goals and getting after it. It did save me from having to buy another backpack. It turns out that my backpack ended up having a hole in it. I've had that backpack for about 3 years, and so it finally got a hole, and on some level it may still function as a backpack, but it is on its way out. I have a bigger hike coming up in August, the High Sierra Trail, and so I just wanted to make sure I was ready to go for that one. I was in for a sticker shock when I went to REI to go get some clothes. Apparently my kids are now adult sizes, and so REI's trying to charge like $60 for a pair of shorts. I think the shoes are definitely worth it. The shorts, that's something I can work around. There's a variety of options when it comes to shorts. I think when it comes to some gear, if we're talking rain jackets, obviously sleeping bags, the stuff that needs to be good, it still needs to be good. Getting the gear together was a little bit more than I think I was expecting. Cost of living has just gone pretty skyrocketing, and I'm out here in California, and just getting up to the mountains is sort of an expensive endeavor, whether we're talking about outfitting the kids with clothes, outfitting myself, or just taking the vehicle, up to Tahoe, doing a 100-mile round trip. And heaven forbid that you have to get some gas at some of those higher elevation towns, because you're definitely gonna remember that. Everyone has all these summer plans this year, which is great, but it also means that this Tahoe Rim Trail hiking trips are going to have to happen pretty early in the season. So it's been a big rush to sort of get everything and get it going. Once I started adding up everything that we needed, I had one of those moments where I was like, damn, this is getting kind of expensive. It's one thing to want to do this, and it's another thing to make it happen. We harbor this mythical idea about the outdoors. The cultural narrative tells us that nature is the ultimate escape from capitalism, spreadsheets, and scheduling. But the irony is that to access the place untouched by capitalism, you first have to max out your credit card at an outdoor retailer. You have to use the most stressful tools of modern life to escape modern life. The gear wasn't cheap. The timing wasn't perfect. To compound the stress, the kids' enthusiasm is highly uneven. They aren't throwing temper tantrums, but they're not very excited about it. I'm someone who had to have a spinal fusion to continue walking, but I find it difficult to maintain an adventurous, carefree lifestyle. The exuberance cost that comes with going outdoors, and my children's lukewarm attitudes about the very things that make me feel alive. How do you reconcile that? I defeated spinal fusion, but I'm losing the war to modern domestic logistics. I just kept moving forward, even though it felt like I was building this summer's hiking season just one piece at a time. So why not just take them to a park? Why go through all the effort of, getting all the gear and gathering the kids and scheduling and making the time to get out there? I guess it would be easier to just go to the park on the weekend for a few hours and then get back to what we were doing. Before I had the kids, getting outdoors is really easy. I would just head out for the weekend, minimal planning. Yeah, especially at one point I was living in Lake Tahoe, so it was really easy to just leave on the weekends and get out onto the trails. My baseline state of being, getting out there into the woods and just enjoying nature. So, over the years, I did try to stay active. 3 kids, slowly but surely things started falling off the calendar. Backpacking was one of the first things to go. Snowboarding, soccer, a little bit of coaching here and there. Put the kids in swimming. And after I had my back surgery in 2021 and I needed to start walking, some of the activities that I had started doing more and more, riding my bike and playing soccer, those just didn't really work out for my body anymore. So, the doctor said start walking. Walking turned into rucking and rucking turned into long distance hiking. Long distance hiking has turned into hiking with kids, just sort of the next evolution of it. As I had to start walking more and I started getting back out into the wilderness, it was something that I wanted to bring my kids along and let them experience some of that. But, times have changed and, they're not who I am, so they're going to be experiencing it in a slightly different way than I did. There was a time I wasn't even sure I was going to get back to this. After my surgery, getting cleared to walk again and go hiking, it didn't make everything perfect again. I had to build around what life actually looks like right now. This isn't about, getting out there and doing the stuff like I did before. It was about making room for the kids in it. It took a little bit to get everything, but once we finally had everything together, it was time to get back on the trail. Once we got out there, the expense of all the stuff stopped being something I thought about. So, while it was stressful to get all the gear together, once I finally did get the kids out there, it definitely seemed like it was worth it. We've had a good time. We've gone on a few different hikes so far. And, pretty much all the places we've been to are places I've either never been to before or not spent all that much time in. So it was really nice to get out there with the kids and, explore Tahoe together. The expense wasn't something I was even really thinking about anymore. Yeah, the kids' enthusiasm, it didn't really change, what do you expect? Kids are going to be kids. In the end, to get the outfits all together, I ended up picking up some clothes over at Target. The gear looks like it'll be fine. It might not be the most perfect gear. It might not be the best, but it's going to get us out there. It'll let us enjoy the adventures. Just being out there together, sort of experiencing everything. I wouldn't say the kids are necessarily, loving every moment of it, but it is nice to experience it together. Yeah, the prep is part of the trip now. Just another part of life. When you have kids, there's always expenses for something. So instead of registration fees, it's gear fees. I don't forget what this stuff costs. I just remember what it gives us access to. Getting out there with the kids takes work, but that's part of it now. It's just sort of one piece at a time. Each season brings a new sort of adventure and something else. The kids keep growing, so the gear, it's got to keep changing. That'll slow down one day, but kids will be older too. Yeah, the trail's still unfinished. There's more ahead. The kids didn't undergo some sort of Disney-style transformation. They don't take one breath of scented mountain air and suddenly become little stoic mountaineers. They're the same exact individuals they are in the living room, simply relocated to a higher elevation. They're kids. They get tired. They get focused on getting to the end of the trail, and their enthusiasm remains aggressively uneven. And this is just the start of the season. We didn't need it to be perfect. We just needed to get out there. Don't forget the planning or the packing or the part where you're standing in the store wondering if all this is really worth it for just so few trips. But once you're out there, it becomes easier to see the value in it. The kids don't have to live every mile. They don't have to experience it the same way I do. Some parts are slow, some parts are scary, and some parts are just trying to get some snacks out of the bag and keep going. But we're there, we're in the mountains together, and for now, that's enough. We're doing something difficult together. I'm getting the kids out of the house and away from their screens, mostly, physically navigating through some challenging landscape as a collective unit. This itself is a victory. Getting out there takes more effort than people realize. Time, planning, gear, it all adds up before you even take the first step.